So this is a section I'm going to introduce a kind of a concept program I wrote for probe selection. And the origin behind this is way back when I was doing USB qualification. We had these really long procedures, and this was for both Agilent and Tetronic scopes. And it listed all these things we would do and have to look for in order to complete the qualification. And I always wondered, I mean, having these things is absolutely great to have it written down, but once you have it to this level of detail, I just wonder why we don't put that into a C# program. I've mentioned to some engineers the idea about using software to help the user along, or creating software that doesn't require the manual. That absolutely does not mean that you don't need to write this. This is an important step, is writing the specification. But once you've written the specification, it's convenient to put it into the code, because you can make sure you're doing the same thing every time, and the computer can essentially learn the process and then help the user along. This is a document. It's quite well written. It's from Tektronix, ABCs of Probe, and it talks about different ways to set your probe up and do the selection and pick your probe. Again, this is a very good document. It is 60 pages long. What I was thinking was, maybe we can start out and say, the customer tells us something about the kind of signal they want to measure. Let's say they're just doing something relatively low frequency, 480 megahertz. Then we could apply different probes to it. For instance, and then we could put a picture of a probe here, because sometimes it's not always easy to figure out what the number of your probe is. But obviously we've got a certain probe here, and then if this is the waveform you get, let's try correctly compensating it. Interesting here, we don't get too much difference. Maybe if we get a better probe, that looks a little bit more expensive, but we do get a better waveform here. And then let's try something a little faster. Let's try a DDR, or let's go super speed. So now you can see, even when we're correctly compensated, that probe's performance doesn't look that great, and we can try different waveforms here. So maybe we want to try a little better probe here, or maybe the top of the line one here. And of course, we can look and see what, if we're undercompensated, we really do not have good performance, or if we're overcompensated, we don't have good performance. So we can correctly compensate and then see. Then also we get a picture here, which I think is helpful for customers, since we have the ability to display that kind of level of graphics now.